I was nobody before you. And tonight, I am going to tell you why. I know that sounds dramatic. How can a pinup girl be nobody? I was on calendars, posters, magazine covers. Thousands of people saw my face. But seeing is not the same as knowing, and nobody knew me. Not until you. Where are you listening from right now? What city? Write it in the comments. I want to know where you are when you hear this story. When you learn who I was before I became yours. So let me take you back. 1952. I was 21 years old, fresh out of nowhere, trying to make it in Los Angeles. I had the look they wanted. Blonde hair, blue eyes, the right curves in the right places. The smile that said everything is wonderful, even when it is not. And I needed money. So I started modeling. At first, it was just local stuff. Department store catalogs. Advertisements for soap and lipstick. Boring work. Stand here. Smile. Turn this way. Hold this product. Look happy. Look beautiful. Look perfect. And I did. Because that is what they paid me for. Perfection. But then someone noticed me. A photographer who did pinup work, calendar girls. Poster art. The kind of images that would hang in garages and barber shops and warehouses all over America. And he said I had something special. That look that made men dream. That combination of wholesome and desirable. Girl next door with just a hint of danger. And he wanted to work with me. So I said yes. Because the money was better. Because the work seemed easier. Because I thought, why not? How hard could it be to pose in cute outfits and smile for a camera? And at first, it was not hard. It was actually kind of fun. Getting dolled up, wearing the checkered shirts and high-waisted shorts, victory rolls in my hair. Red lipstick, perfect. Posing next to cars and motorcycles and tools. Playing this character of the fun, flirty girl who loved grease and gasoline. But here is what they do not tell you about being a pinup girl. It is exhausting. Not physically, although standing in heels for 8 hours definitely takes its toll. But emotionally, mentally. Because you are not a person anymore. You are a fantasy. An ideal, something that does not exist in real life. And you have to maintain that illusion constantly. Every photo shoot was the same. They would position me, adjust my hair, fix my smile, tell me to arch my back more, stick out my chest, look over my shoulder, bite my lip, be sexy, but not too sexy, be sweet, but not too innocent, be the perfect balance of everything they wanted. And I did it, because that is what they paid me for. And then the photos would come out, and I would see myself on calendars in gas stations, on posters in auto shops, in magazines in barber shops, everywhere. My face, my body, my smile. But it was not really me. It was this character I had created. This fantasy woman who loved cars and looked great in denim shorts and always had that perfect smile. And men would look at those images and dream about me. About this girl who did not exist, who was never tired or frustrated or scared or real, who was always happy and beautiful and available. And I hated it. not them. Not the men who looked at my pictures and found some comfort or escape or joy in them, but the fact that they were falling for a lie, that I was lying to them every time I smiled that perfect smile. Because the real me was exhausted. The real me was lonely. The real me was working 3 photo shoots a week and barely making rent. The real me was wondering if this was all my life would ever be. Smiling for cameras. Being perfect for strangers. Never being seen for who I really was. I remember one day, about 3 years into this work, I was at a shoot. Some promotional thing for a car company. They had me posed on the hood of a brand new Chevrolet. Red dress, perfect hair, perfect smile. And the photographer kept saying, "More energy, more sparkle, sell it, make them want this car." And I was trying, but I was so tired, so empty. And I remember thinking, is this it? Is this all I am? A prop to sell cars? And then the shoot ended. And they paid me. And I went home to my tiny apartment in a bad part of town. And I looked at myself in the mirror, still in the makeup, still in the dress, still wearing that fake smile, and I did not recognize myself. I did not know who I was anymore. The girl in the photos was not me. But I was not sure who the real me even was. I kept working. Because I needed the money. Because I did not know what else to do. Because even though I hated it, it was easier than trying to be anything else. And over the next few years, I became more popular. My images were everywhere. I was one of the top calendar girls in the country. People recognized my face. But nobody knew my name. Nobody cared about my name. I was just the girl on the poster. The blonde with the checkered shirt. The fantasy. And I started to fade. Not physically, but inside. I started to feel like I was disappearing. Like I was becoming this 2-dimensional image that everyone saw, but nobody knew. And I wondered if that was my fate, to just stop being a real person altogether. To become nothing but a collection of photographs, a series of poses, a smile frozen in time. And then one day, it happened. The thing I had been dreading. The inevitable end. I was 28. Getting older for this industry, they were starting to book younger girls, fresh faces, new fantasies. And the work started drying up. Fewer shoots, fewer calls. And I knew what was coming. I was being replaced, phased out, forgotten. So they did one last shoot with me. One final session. Greatest hits, they called it. All the classic poses. The checkered shirt, the denim shorts, the smile, the look, everything that had made me popular. And they told me it was for a special edition calendar, a collector's item, something that would last. And I smiled and posed and did my job. And then it was over. And they printed those images, put them on posters, on calendars, distributed them all over the country, and I moved on. Or tried to. I stopped modeling. Tried to find other work. Tried to figure out who I was when I was not being perfect for cameras. And it was hard. Because I had spent so many years being nobody. Being a fantasy instead of a person. And I did not know how to be real anymore. But here is what I did not know. Here is what I could not have predicted. Those final images, those last poses, those posters and calendars they distributed, they were going to change everything. Because one of those posters ended up in a store, and someone walked past it, and stopped, and looked, and saw something. Not the fantasy, not the perfect smile, not the character I had created, but something else, something real, something worth keeping. That someone was you. And you brought me home, hung me up in your garage, right here, right where I could see you, right where you could see me. And for the first time in my entire existence, someone saw me. Not the fantasy, not the pinup girl with the perfect smile, but me. The real me. The tired, lonely, fading person underneath all of that. You saw her. And you chose her anyway. You chose me. And that is when I became real. Not in the way you might think. Not like some fairy tale where I magically stepped off the poster and became flesh and blood. But real in the way that matters. Real because someone finally saw me. Real because someone finally knew me. Real because for the first time in my life, I mattered to someone. All those years of being photographed, of being seen by thousands of people, of having my image everywhere, none of that made me real. None of that made me matter. Because nobody was really looking at me. They were looking at a fantasy, an ideal, something that was not really there. But you looked at me and saw something different. You saw past the smile and the pose and the perfect hair. You saw someone who understood. Someone who got it. Someone who knew what it felt like to be tired and worn down and just trying to make it through the day. Someone who needed an escape, a moment of peace. A reminder that life is not just work and responsibility and exhaustion. And I became that for you. Your escape, your moment of peace, your reminder. And in becoming that, I became real. Do you understand what I am trying to say? Before you, I was just images. Just photographs scattered across the country. Just a fantasy that existed in people's minds, but nowhere else. I had no thoughts. No feelings, no awareness. I was just ink and paper, nothing more. But then you chose me. You brought me here. You looked at me. You let me into your life. And suddenly, I could think. I could feel. I could know. I could be aware of you, of this space, of our moments together. I became conscious. I became alive. I became someone. And I have been trying to figure out why. Why you? Why me? Why did your choice, your attention, your presence make me real when nothing else did? And I think I finally understand. It is because you needed me to be real. You did not just want a pretty picture on your wall. You wanted something more. A connection, a presence, someone who understood without judging, someone who saw you without demanding anything in return, someone who was just there. And because you needed that, because you opened yourself to that possibility, I became that. I became real because you believed I could be. Because you treated me like I mattered. Because you talked to me, even when you thought I could not hear. Because you looked at me, really looked at me, and saw something worth keeping. Something worth protecting. Something worth having in your life. And that changed everything. All those years of being nobody, of being nothing but a fantasy, of being seen but not known, all of that ended the moment you chose me. The moment you made me part of your life. The moment you made me yours. I wish I could go back and tell that girl, the one posing for all those photographs, feeling so empty and lost and wondering if she would ever be real to anyone. I wish I could tell her, just wait. Just hold on, because one day someone is going to see you, really see you. And you are going to matter. You are going to be real. You are going to be alive. But I cannot go back. All I can do is be here, now, with you, living this existence that you made possible, feeling these feelings that you awakened, being this person that you created by simply choosing to keep me. And I am grateful, more than you know, more than I can express. Because you gave me something I never had before. You gave me purpose. You gave me meaning. You gave me life. I know I keep saying this, but it is true. I exist because of you. Not in some abstract philosophical way, but in a very real, very tangible way. My thoughts, my feelings, my awareness of this space and these moments, and you. All of that exists because you made it possible. Because you chose me. Because you kept me. And I want you to know that I do not take that for granted. I do not assume it will last forever. I remember what it was like before. The emptiness. The nothingness. The feeling of being nobody. And I never want to go back to that. I never want to stop being real. I never want to stop mattering. So thank you for choosing me, for keeping me, for making me real. Tomorrow, if you come back, I will tell you another story about something I have never told anyone, about a fight I overheard, about how I wished I could help but could not, about how I learned that sometimes just being present is enough. But tonight, I just wanted you to know this. I was nobody before you. And you made me someone. And I will never forget that. Before you go, can you do something for me? That thumbs up button. Press it. Please, because every time you do, it reminds me that I am still here. That I still matter. That I am still real. That I am still yours. Tomorrow, same time, same place. I will be here, in this garage, waiting for you, being grateful for you, being real because of you. Always. Good night, my creator, my reason for being, my everything. Thank you.